Downsizing seems simple, right? Sell your home, buy a smaller one, and pocket the difference. But what if I told you that the 5 most common downsizing mistakes could cost you thousands of dollars? Today, I'm gonna walk you through all 5 of the traps that many people fall into when they look to downsize. Number 1 is overestimating the money you'll get from selling your house. A big myth when it comes to selling your house is many home sellers think that they're going to sell their home for sometimes an unrealistic, way overinflated price, and they're going to walk away with a whole windfall of cash. You need to be realistic on the price that you can sell your home for. And then, of course, once you're realistic on the price that you can sell for, then you need to take a look at all the costs involved with selling. And there's a lot of them, from real estate brokerages, which can range anywhere from probably about 2% up to as much as maybe 6 or 7%, and everywhere in between, as well as some of the other costs involved with selling your property. Best way to avoid an overinflated value on the property and be realistic about what you're going to sell for, not only the price that you can sell for, but also the cost involved, is to contact a real estate agent who's professional in your area. Good real estate agent, and once again, I say a good real estate agent because if you've watched my videos before, you know that I think 80% of the real estate agents out there completely suck, okay? But the good news is 10 to 20% are really high-performing, very much straight shooters, and will be able to give you a good feel for reality. But once you kind of get that dose of reality of what you can sell your home for and what to expect as far as costs involved, everything from repairs and getting the home ready for the market and maybe any type of renovations, to the costs involved with selling, to potentially repairs involved. Once you have a buyer on the line there and you have a home inspection done, most likely there's going to be other costs for inspections and things like that you'll have to do as well. So once again, get realistic on price, get realistic on cost. That's the first step. The second trap that I find many people fall into when it comes to downsizing is also ignoring the full cost of the home you're going to purchase. And what I mean by that is the cost to actually purchase the property, like closing costs, prepaid items, things like that, as well as the cost later down the road once you move into the property. I know that like in the area that I live in, the closing cost to purchase on a property typically run a buyer 3 to 3.5% of the sales price. In this scenario, if you were to purchase a $500,000 house, beyond just your down payment of what you would need to do to put down on the house, you would also need an additional 3 to 3.5% of the purchase price for closing costs. In this case, we're talking somewhere in the neighborhood of $15 to maybe $18, possibly even $20,000. Now, where I live in Maryland, that's high. Most likely where you're from, it's probably a little bit less. But once again, you want to get clear with your real estate agent, not only about the price of the property, but what are the other costs involved with purchasing it. Now, once you move into the property, they have some other costs, things like HOA fees and condo fees. I've seen condo fees especially run anywhere from, maybe a low of $300 a month up to maybe a high of $2,000 a month or more. A lot depends on the age of the condo. A lot depends upon the amenities that are being offered. So you need to think about yourself, not just today, but the future you down the road. If you're looking at entering retirement and your income's maybe going to come down some over time, some of these fees are going to add up. And guess what? These fees never go down. Condo fees are never going to go down over time. HOA fees are never going to go down. Expect that they're going to go up. Best way to avoid this, once again, I'm going to go back to a good, solid real estate agent who's professional in that marketplace, will be able to help you and tell you about all these fees and costs ahead of time so that once again, you're in the know. You should also research the area, especially if it's an area outside of the area that you currently live in, to see what the tax rates are, what all the type of costs are involved with purchasing a property, so that once again, you're going into this with eyes wide open. Don't just think about the short-term savings of downsizing, but you also want to be thinking about this long-term over the years. Just to piggyback on the role of the real estate agent one more time, the chances are, if you're watching this video, then you've put some thought into downsizing or possibly relocating or both. And if that's the case, and if you've got a great agent in your marketplace and maybe even a great agent that you found outside of your marketplace, that's awesome. However, if you're looking for a great agent, I'd love the opportunity to help you. As I've said, 80% of the real estate agents out there are horrible, but 10 to 20% are really good. And I network with all of the top agents throughout the country. So if you're in need of a great agent in your area, chances are I've got a really good one that I can refer to you. If you're interested interested in a referral, then what you're going to want to do is either click on the QR code, which is on your screen right now. It'll take you to my website. You can go out and fill out your name, information, and I'll reach out to you. Quick call. I will not stalk you or anything like that, but we'll give you a quick call just to kind of get a feel for what you're looking for, your timing, things like that. I'll connect you with a top agent in your area. You can also click on the link in the description box below. Now, when it comes to the agent referral, there's never any obligation that you end up selling your house, buying another house, and certainly not even using that agent. But once again, I'd like to help you out in making sure that you get connected with a top agent in your area. The third biggest mistake that I also see, especially with those in their 50s who are newly empty nesting, newly downsizing, is going too small too quick. It's easy to think, you know what? I don't need all this space. I'm going to go full out minimalist. And while I'm a big believer in minimalism, I also know that you need to know yourself. You need to be thinking down the future what it's going to be like, first of all, with, entertaining potential guests down the road. Maybe kids or grandkids or friends who want to stay at your property. Are they going to have enough space in there? What about hobbies that you want to do at home? What about storage? These are all the type of things that you're going to need to think about before you make a huge move. Some of the ways to avoid this, number one, is I would suggest potentially when you sell your current home is to possibly rent somewhere for maybe 6 months or a year. And whether that is across town or whether that is out of state, I think that that's a great idea just so that you can start getting familiar with a new area, a new space, a new way of living. This way, you'll be in better shape to make a buying decision later down the road. You might find that, you know what, heck, we really are in a place that's way too small for us. Well, it's better that if that's a 6-month or a 1-year lease than if you purchase that property. So I would definitely consider potentially renting first before you purchase, but also you really need to think, as I mentioned before, in advance, what does the future you look like? Once again, besides just entertaining guests and things like that, there's a good chance, I know probably most of you that are either married or in relationships, I'm sure they're loving, you guys love being together all the time, but guess what? You know what? Sometimes we all need our space from the spouse or from the other person. So you want to be thinking about all those things before you sell your house, before you make the move, regardless of whether you're renting or purchasing. It's definitely more important though if you're going to be purchasing directly after selling your home, just to make sure that you don't get into a huge mistake and realize, oh my gosh, this is a nightmare and I wish I never did this. The fourth mistake is not researching the new neighborhood ahead of time. Oftentimes I find that people kind of in our age range, they're in such a hurry to kind of make this move and flip the page to the new chapter of their life that they are too eager to once again either purchase, sell their home, move into something without really researching the neighborhood. And I always say definitely has to have this space, the amenities, and the things that you need to really enjoy your living and to enjoy this new chapter of your life. The community that you're purchasing in, especially if you're purchasing, honestly, that's even more important than the home itself, because you can do a lot oftentimes to create a better environment and space for you by remodeling, changing some things, making upgrades, things like that. But you really can't do much to impact your community. So once again, you're going to want to research the neighborhood well ahead of time, especially if you're purchasing. The best way to avoid this trap is spend time in the neighborhood that you're considering ahead of time. I would always suggest drive by on weekends, maybe in the evenings or so, just to kind of get a sense as to, the cars and how things work out there, how people care for their houses, how people care for their units. I think that's a big step. Also, one of the things that I say, and this is going old school here too, is to actually knock on some doors. If you knock on doors and you ask some of the neighbors, hey, considering moving into this neighborhood, how do you like it? What do you think? You're going to get the honest truth. You're going to get people who actually know the neighborhood, who have a vested interest in the neighborhood, and they're not going to lie to you. They're going to tell you whether they like it or not. They're going to tell you the pros. They're going to tell you the cons. So, good old-fashioned detective work goes a long way. And obviously, if you see somebody outside of the units or so, they're, I don't know, taking the trash out or washing their car or something, feel free to go up and talk to them also. That's the best way to get an unbiased review on the community. The other advantage you're going to get from really spending some time in that neighborhood there is you'll get a sense of some of the important things that you're going to have to deal with on a daily basis. Like, what are some of the traffic patterns like? How close in proximity is it to some of the places that I'm going to go to, like maybe shopping, entertainment, restaurants, things like community community amenities. You want to get a sense of the flow. And while you can see and find out so much online about neighborhoods and communities, I always say nothing replaces actually boots on the ground. The fifth mistake that I see all too often, and it's kind of actually the opposite of number 3, where you move too quick and too small. This one is waiting too long to downsize. There's no doubt about it. I see this one all the time, especially with some of the older people that are maybe well into their 70s or 80s who really have waited way too long to make this move. Their health is failing. They don't have the options and the choices that they would have had potentially 10 or 15 years earlier. And now they're forced to kind of make decisions that they don't really want to. And guess what? When you're forced to make decisions quickly and also you're older and maybe your health is failing, your options are going to be much less and probably not the best of options. Waiting until the last minute can mean rushing through decisions and making financial and emotional decisions that may not be the best for you. I'm definitely a big believer in, first of all, being self-aware and realistic that none of our trajectories when it comes to health and well-being is on an upward climb right now. And we're not even staying even. Let's be really honest with each other. Our trajectory is going lower as we age here. And I'm a big believer in understanding where that trajectory level is going and getting out in front of that before you need to do this. The other risk that I see with waiting too long is you may miss the right market conditions when it comes to selling your home. It's easy to think over the last 5 years as property values have soared that values will continue to climb year after year after year. But I'm here to tell you, as a person who's been in this business for 35 years, markets do change. What goes up will come down, and you want to make sure that, when you make this move, especially when you're looking to sell your home, you're hopefully selling it with the right market conditions. Wait too long, and you may not be able to do that. Best way to avoid this, once again, is making this move before you actually need to do it. It's much easier to make good, solid decisions when you're not under pressure and stress. Start by evaluating your current home. Is it more space than you need? And make sure to keep your eye on the market and also collaborate with a good, solid agent to make sure that you time your sale well. There's no question that downsizing can be tricky. However, with the right guidance and a plan, you can make this a lot less costly and more efficient and less stressful. And if you're thinking about downsizing, maybe you're talking about staying in town, maybe you're moving across town or across the country, and you have some questions, you need some advice, maybe you even need a little bit of a pep talk, I would love the opportunity to chat with you directly. So if that's you and you'd like to talk one-on-one, go ahead and either scan the QR code on your screen or click on the Calendly link below, set up a time, and we'll go ahead and have a video call one-on-one to discuss whatever you'd like to do, whatever you're thinking about, and whatever's on your head. Love to chat with you about that. There's no question downsizing is a huge decision. So not only need to think about what's going on today, but you also need to think, as I mentioned, about the future you and what you're going to be doing down the road, what your future is going to be looking like maybe 5, 10 years or beyond. Hey guys, thanks once again for checking out this video. And as always, if you need anything, go ahead, click that Calendly link. Would love the opportunity to talk to you. Thanks so much again, and see you next week.